Something about the end of Last Man Standing never made sense. A hit show, millions of viewers, a loyal fan base, and yet ABC canceled it in 2017 with no solid reason. Cast members were replaced, others vanished, and fans were left with more questions than answers. Was it politics, money, conflicts backstage? Even stranger, many of the mysteries, like why Kristen Baxter was suddenly recast, why Mandy never returned, or why Eve Baxter slowly faded from the screen, were never fully explained. Today, we're going deeper than ever before to uncover what really happened. Let's get started. After years away from television, Tim Allen returned in 2011 with Last Man Standing. But the decision wasn't as simple as it looked. He had already rejected several major offers, including one from CBS worth an astonishing $1 million per episode. Still, Last Man Standing felt different. Creator Jack Burdett had envisioned Mike Baxter as a fresh type of sitcom dad, someone who carried the humor and edge of Tim the Toolman Taylor, but older, wiser, and more grounded. Ironically, that was exactly why Allen didn't want the part at first. He felt it echoed his old character too closely and turned it down not once, but 3 times. What finally changed his mind was control. The network offered him a role not just as the star, but as an executive producer, a chance to shape the show creatively. That level of freedom would become crucial later, especially when storylines began touching on political themes. ABC, meanwhile, had ambitious plans. They wanted a modern-day all-in-the-family, a conservative protagonist whose beliefs were constantly challenged at home. They placed the show on Friday nights, a difficult slot, and hoped Allen's name would pull in viewers. It did. When the series premiered in October 2011, 13.2 million people tuned in, making it ABC's biggest comedy launch since 2014. Even in its first season, it won its time slot and captured a strong audience among adults aged 18 to 49, an impressive feat for Friday night television. For 6 seasons, the show remained steady, averaging more than 8 million viewers per episode. That's why the announcement in 2017 stunned fans. ABC canceled the series at the height of its success. And soon after came an even bigger surprise, the exit of key cast members. The first major shakeup came with Alexandra Krosny, who played Kristen Baxter in Season 1. As Mike Baxter's eldest daughter, Kristen was introduced as a young single mother raising her son Boyd at just 17, working as a waitress, and trying to rebuild her life under her parents' roof. Krosny's performance resonated. She brought sass, warmth, and a believable emotional depth that made Kristen one of the show's most relatable characters. Her sharp exchanges with Tim Allen quickly became fan favorites. But after the first season, ABC announced that Krosny wouldn't be returning. The official explanation was creative differences, though the truth was more layered. The producers wanted Kristen to take on more mature storylines, appearing older and more experienced so she could challenge Mike Baxter on political and social issues. To support that shift, they recast the role with Amanda Fuller. There was also a visual concern. Although Kristen was the oldest sister, Krosny was actually younger than Molly Ephraim, who played Mandy, something the producers felt didn't quite fit. Around the same time, Nick Jonas briefly entered the picture as Ryan Vogelson, Kristen's ex-boyfriend and Boyd's father. Only 19 years old, he appeared in a 2011 Christmas episode designed to draw attention. His Ryan was portrayed as a clueless, irresponsible teen who had run away from fatherhood, a simple version of the character that generated plenty of buzz, even if it wasn't meant to last. When Tim Doyle stepped in as showrunner in Season 2, he looked at Ryan Vogelson and saw more than a one-note character. He didn't want Ryan to remain the immature dad who ran away from responsibility. He wanted someone who could stand toe-to-toe with Mike Baxter. Under Doyle's direction, Ryan became sharper, more thoughtful, and far more politically outspoken. The goal was to weave him deeper into the Baxter family dynamic and turn him into a regular presence. In 2012, Jordan Masterson took over the role, transforming Ryan into a more grounded and mature figure. His version wasn't a scared teenager anymore. He was a man willing to debate Mike about politics, values, and the future. Over time, Ryan evolved even further, eventually becoming the proud owner of a cannabis shop called Bud's Buds. The show even leaned into the irony when Ryan began behaving like a full-blown capitalist, something that amused Mike Baxter to no end. Then, in May 2017, everything changed. ABC abruptly canceled Last Man Standing, stunning both cast and fans. The show wasn't struggling, far from it. With more than 8 million viewers and a strong Friday night following, most assumed it was a lock for renewal. The timing raised eyebrows, especially since just 2 months earlier, Tim Allen had joked on Jimmy Kimmel Live that being a conservative in Hollywood felt like 1930s Germany. Many wondered whether the remark had influenced the decision. ABC President Channing Dungey denied any political motivation, explaining that the network wanted to move away from Friday night comedies and toward fantasy and sci-fi programming. But to the cast and fans, the explanation felt hollow. Tim Allen tweeted that he felt stunned and blindsided, while Nancy Travis shared her heartbreak online, thanking loyal viewers for their support. Hector Elizondo, who played Ed, later hinted that politics may have played a role after all. As older cast members absorbed the shock, younger actors like Molly Ephraim and Caitlin Dever began moving on, assuming the show was gone for good. But the fans refused to let it die. Within 24 hours, a massive revival campaign exploded across the internet. A petition to save the show gathered over 400,000 signatures in a single day. Twitter lit up with millions of posts under hashtag #SaveLastManStanding. Some fans mailed toy tools to ABC headquarters as a nod to Tim Allen's handyman legacy. Others went even bigger, paying for billboards in Los Angeles and New York demanding the show's return. Even politicians joined the outcry, with Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker publicly suggesting the cancellation might have been politically driven. Behind the scenes, the truth behind Last Man Standing's cancellation was far more complicated than fans initially realized. ABC was paying a steep price to keep the show on the air, about $3 million per episode, because Last Man Standing was produced by 20th Century Fox, not ABC itself. On top of that, Tim Allen's salary, which exceeded $200,000 per episode, only added to the financial strain. When ABC pulled the plug, executives at Fox didn't waste time. They began shopping the show to other networks, approaching places like CMT and NBC in hopes of finding it a new home. In the end, it was Fox itself that stepped up and decided to bring the Baxters back. A year later, on May 11th, 2018, Fox officially announced the revival. The decision wasn't based solely on fan passion, though the fan movement certainly helped. Fox had seen the massive success of ABC's Roseanne revival, which pulled in millions of viewers. Sensing an opportunity for their own major hit, the network took the gamble and invested roughly $50 million to resurrect Last Man Standing. A few days before the announcement, Tim Allen had already hinted at the deal on Twitter, telling fans to keep it up, revealing that negotiations were well underway. But bringing the show back to life was anything but simple. The timeline was brutal. Fox revealed the revival in May 2018 and set a premiere date for September, giving the team just a few months to rebuild everything from the ground up. Writers began crafting scripts in June with only 15 weeks before cameras needed to roll. Filming kicked off in August at the same studio, but the old set had been dismantled, so everything had to be reconstructed. To stay on schedule, the production crew shot 3 episodes per week, a frantic pace for any sitcom. Then the COVID-19 pandemic struck, pausing production and complicating an already tight schedule. Fox poured even more money into the revival to maintain the show's quality. Each episode now cost about $1.1 million, up from the original $800,000. Tim Allen's salary rose to $235,000 per episode, placing him among the highest-paid actors on network television. To offset these increased costs, Fox sold streaming rights to Hulu and CMT for about $1.5 million per episode. Meanwhile, the production team tightened operations, optimizing filming efficiency and cutting back on location travel to save money wherever possible. All the work that went into reviving Last Man Standing finally paid off. When the series premiered on Fox, the first season pulled in nearly 8 million viewers, and the debut episode earned impressively strong ratings. It was clear that fans were genuinely excited to see the Baxter family back on their screens. But the revival still came with major hurdles, especially when it came to casting. When ABC canceled the show in 2017, several actors assumed the series was gone for good and quickly moved on. One of the biggest challenges centered around Molly Ephraim, who had played Mandy Baxter for the first 6 seasons. Believing the show was finished, she didn't wait around. She immediately accepted new roles, joining projects like Brockmire with Hank Azaria and Halt and Catchfire. By the time Fox announced the revival a year later, Ephraim was already locked into other commitments. Returning as Mandy simply wasn't possible. The producers knew they couldn't replace her with a carbon copy. They wanted an actress who could bring something new to the role while honoring the character's spirit. After an extensive search, they chose Molly McCook. McCook looked nothing like Ephraim, and instead of trying to hide that fact, the writers leaned into it, making playful jokes in the show about Mandy's new appearance. Still, when McCook debuted in Season 7, many fans pushed back. The hashtag #NotMyMandy began trending as viewers expressed frustration over the recasting. But McCook didn't let the criticism hold her back. Rather than mimic Ephraim's version of Mandy, she created her own interpretation, leaning into Mandy's passion for fashion and her dream of becoming a designer. The writers supported her with deeper storylines, including Mandy's pregnancy and her evolving relationship with Kyle. Slowly, the audience began to accept her. Emotional scenes with Tim Allen, who played Mandy's father, Mike Baxter, helped fans see the character in a new light. By then, McCook had proven she wasn't just a replacement. She brought a fresh, meaningful take on Mandy that eventually won viewers over. But Molly Ephraim wasn't the only cast member who moved on. Caitlin Dever found herself in a similar position. After the show was canceled the first time, she made a bold choice. She shifted her focus entirely to film. That decision changed everything. Her first major step was landing a role in Kathryn Bigelow's Detroit, a performance that marked a turning point in her career. From there, her rise was rapid. Within a year and a half, Dever secured major roles in Booksmart, 2019, alongside Beanie Feldstein, and in Netflix's critically acclaimed miniseries, Unbelievable. Those projects pushed her firmly into the spotlight. Her performance in Unbelievable earned her both Golden Globe and BAFTA nominations, while Booksmart became a breakout hit, praised by critics and earning $25 million at the box office. Looking back, her decision to chase new opportunities proved to be the best gamble she could have made. When Fox revived Last Man Standing, things became complicated. Dever simply couldn't return as a full-time cast member. Instead, she shifted from a series regular to a recurring guest star, appearing in 7 episodes of Season 7. By Season 8, as her film career accelerated, her appearances dropped to only 2. Then the COVID-19 pandemic made scheduling even more difficult. With strict quarantine rules requiring 14 days of isolation for each appearance, the production team struggled to work around her limited availability. Writers even designed entire episodes to fit the narrow windows she had between major projects. By the final season, she managed to appear in just 3 episodes, including the series finale. Her reduced presence forced major story adjustments. The writers explained Eve Baxter's long absences by sending her to the Air Force Academy, allowing her rare returns to feel more meaningful. Video calls were used creatively to keep Eve connected to the Baxter family when Dever couldn't be on set. One standout episode, The Two Nieces of Eve, was written specifically to match her tight schedule. It focused on Eve's bond with her nieces and helped wrap up several long-running story arcs. Despite her demanding workload, Dever continued delivering standout performances in other major projects. Between 2017 and 2021, she appeared in Dopesick alongside Michael Keaton, took on a role in Dear Evan Hansen, and was cast as Abby in HBO's The Last of Us Season 2. Her commitments were so intense that the show had to drop plans for 2 additional episodes featuring her in Season 8. Still, throughout the chaos of her rising career, Dever remained loyal to the series that helped launch her into Hollywood. In May 2020, Fox announced that Last Man Standing would end with its 9th season, even though the show was still performing incredibly well. It was averaging 8.3 million viewers per episode, making it Fox's second highest-rated comedy. Fans were stunned. With ratings that strong and such a loyal audience, no one expected the series to wrap up so soon. Behind the scenes, producer Kevin Abbott revealed that the team had already begun planning for a 10th season. One of the biggest ideas on the table was passing the outdoor man legacy to Amanda Fuller's character, Kristen, who would rename the business Outdoor Woman. It would have been a major generational shift for the Baxter family. The writers were also hoping to bring back fan-favorite guest stars like Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Richard Karn for storylines tied to earlier seasons. As the final season approached, Fox executives pushed for a big event to make the ending feel special. Abbott wasn't immediately on board. He believed the show worked best when it stayed grounded in family life. But everything changed when writer John Hauer pitched a bold idea: bring back Tim the Toolman Taylor from Home Improvement. That suggestion sparked a wave of discussions about how the two universes could finally connect. Over the years, the team had played with several crossover ideas: a Tool Time reunion special inside the Last Man Standing world, a storyline revealing that Mike Baxter and Tim Taylor were distant relatives, even a Christmas special merging both casts. But legal hurdles and tight schedules always shut those plans down. When they finally committed to bringing Tim Taylor into the show, the process was anything but smooth. Because Disney owned the rights to Home Improvement, negotiations were slow and complicated. In fact, the crossover wasn't officially approved until the day before the table read. Abbott later admitted he had even threatened to move forward without Disney's permission just to break the stalemate. Tim Allen, now playing both Mike Baxter and Tim Taylor, also had conditions. He insisted that Tim Taylor be handled with respect and that he have a meaningful reason to show up in Colorado. The writing team revised the script 3 times to get everything right. Allen did his own homework, rewatching old episodes of Home Improvement to recapture Taylor's voice, mannerisms, and comedic rhythm. His goal was clear: Mike Baxter and Tim Taylor had to feel like 2 completely different people on screen. The finished episode was filled with subtle nods to Home Improvement, quiet references to Wilson, jokes about Tool Time, and even an update on where Tim Taylor's life went after the original series ended. In the end, the crossover became one of the most unforgettable moments of Last Man Standing's final season, linking 2 beloved sitcoms and giving fans a nostalgic send-off they never expected but absolutely loved. So now we want to hear from you. Which cast departure changed the show the most for you, and why? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy deep dives into classic TV, behind-the-scenes truths, and what really happened to your favorite shows, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.